Scripture reference: humble yourself before God, and He will lift you up. James 4:10. Many see James 4:10 as a call to humble oneself before a God out there, somewhere beyond reach, and in return, they'll be lifted up. But let's go deeper than this surface interpretation. Most people approach this scripture as though God is up in heaven and we're down here on earth. They assume they're separate from God and need to do something special to earn divine favor. But this very idea is where the illusion begins, the illusion of separation. In truth, there is no separation between you and God. There's no God out there that you need to humble yourself before. No need for a transaction where you give to get. The moment you assume separation, you're already within the ego's framework. This idea of a separate self humbling itself before God is the ego's ultimate trick. Think about it. Humility isn't about diminishing or lowering yourself in front of a higher being. How can the self diminish itself when it's already whole? The ego wants you to believe there's a you that needs humbling, a separate you that can somehow perform an action for God's approval. But the true self, the self that's one with God, can't be diminished, changed, or separated from God. The scripture speaks to something far more profound than a transactional relationship with God. It's not about, if you do this, then you'll get that. That mindset is the ego at work, creating conditions, making you feel you have to earn your worth or work for love. The ego thrives on this give-to-get mentality because it reinforces the sense of lack and separation. Now, what about the promise of being lifted up? Lifted up to where? The kingdom of heaven isn't a location or an elevation. It's the awareness of oneness with God. You're not being lifted up. Rather, you're releasing the illusion that you were ever down to begin with. So when James 4:10 invites you to humble yourself, it's not saying to submit to a higher authority in exchange for a reward. Instead, it's guiding you to let go of the ego's false self, the part of you that believes it is separate. The lifting up happens when you release the belief in separation, the illusion that you could ever be anything other than one with God. None of this requires striving, effort, or even belief. Truth doesn't need your belief to be true. It simply is. The only thing required is to let go of the story the ego wants you to believe, that you need to work, prove, and strive to achieve what is already yours. Now, if you think you need to do something extra to earn God's love, ask yourself this: who would you be without the need to prove anything? What if the only thing keeping you from experiencing oneness with God is the belief that you're